when a human warrior gave his blood to a dying alien princess. What happened next is unbelievable. The sky burned a strange shade of orange, streaked with swirling black clouds, and the ground beneath his boots was cracked and jagged. Broken towers, twisted metal, and remnants of a once thriving city stretched as far as he could see. This planet, known to humans as Zerathia, had been a battlefield for decades, a place where war had stripped everything of life and hope. Kale crouched behind the remains of a collapsed building, scanning the area with his binoculars. His mission was simple in theory: protect human interests and negotiate peace between the factions fighting on Zerathia. But theory rarely matched reality. The planet was alive in ways humans rarely expected. Strange, shadowy creatures flitted between ruins, and a faint hum vibrated through the cracked ground, like the planet itself was breathing. He adjusted his armor and took a deep breath. Humans were known across the stars for their courage, their adaptability, and sometimes their stubbornness. Kale embodied all three. He had survived ambushes, treacherous negotiations, and hostile worlds that had made other humans turn back in fear. Yet even he felt a shiver run down his spine as he ventured deeper into the city ruins. It was then he heard it, a faint, almost inaudible cry. It was unlike any sound he had encountered on Zerathia before, melodic, soft, and filled with pain. Kale's instincts, honed over years of combat and exploration, told him to proceed with caution. He followed the sound, stepping carefully over rubble, his eyes scanning every shadow. Finally, he reached a narrow alleyway between two collapsed towers. There, lying among twisted metal and broken stones, was the source of the cry. She was unlike any being he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly under the dim light with a soft silver-blue hue. Her eyes were large and deep, reflecting a mix of fear and wisdom. She wore a delicate garment that had been torn in several places, revealing injuries that made Kale's stomach tighten. The alien princess was clearly dying. He could see her chest rising and falling with great effort, her breathing shallow and labored. Kale quickly checked his scanner. It confirmed what he feared. Her body was failing and the local atmosphere was poisoning her. "What happened to you?" he murmured, more to himself than to her. There was no answer, only the faint flicker of pain in her eyes. Kale scanned the area, noting signs of a battle. Blood marked the ground, and scorched walls suggested a fight had broken out recently. He wondered what kind of forces had left a city like this in ruins, and why a princess, someone so important, would be left to die alone. He glanced at his own resources. Medkits could stabilize basic injuries, but the scans revealed that her species had a unique biology. The atmosphere of Zerathia, combined with injuries, was causing rapid organ failure. There was one thing that could save her. Human blood contained a rare enzyme her body needed to survive. Kale hesitated. Human blood had never been used in this way. He had read stories, heard myths in interstellar academies, but this was real. His heart pounded. Donating his blood was risky. If anything went wrong, it could kill him or fail to save her. But looking into her eyes, he felt the pull of responsibility. No matter the risk, he could not leave her to die. He knelt beside her, retrieving a sterile kit from his pack. She flinched at first, weakly pulling back, but Kale gently placed a hand on her arm. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to help." Her eyes widened slightly, a glimmer of trust forming in the midst of pain. Kale carefully drew blood, following precise procedures. His hands were steady, his mind focused. This was more than survival, it was a test of human courage and compassion. The procedure took time, but Kale watched closely as her breathing began to stabilize. The faint shimmer of her skin brightened slightly and the deep color returned to her eyes. She was still weak, but she was alive. Kale allowed himself a small sigh of relief. Suddenly, a distant rumble shook the ground. Dust fell from broken buildings around them. Kale's instincts kicked in. He shielded the princess with his body, scanning the horizon. Faint shadows moved between the ruins. The factions fighting over Zerathia were returning, or worse, scavengers drawn to the chaos. Kale had no choice. He had to move her to safety. Lifting her carefully into his arms, he began weaving through the rubble, avoiding large gaps in the ground and unstable structures. Every step was cautious. One misstep could spell disaster for both of them. After several tense minutes, they reached a hidden alcove inside a partially intact building. Kale set her down on a flat surface, checking her vital signs. She stirred slightly, her silver-blue eyes meeting his again. For a moment she attempted to speak, but the effort was too great. Kale placed his hand over hers. "You're safe for now," he said quietly. "We need to get off this planet or find shelter. I'll protect you." Her eyes blinked slowly, and he could sense gratitude in the small gestures of her fingers curling weakly around his hand. Humans were known for resilience, but Kale understood that compassion and courage often defined them even more. He had chosen to act despite fear, and now her life depended on it. As night fell on Zerathia, the ruined city seemed almost serene. The orange sky darkened to deep red, and faint lights flickered from distant ruins. Kale set up a temporary shelter using his portable equipment. He monitored her breathing, ensuring that she remained stable. Then something unexpected happened. A faint glow began to emanate from her veins. It was soft at first, barely noticeable, but it grew slowly, spreading like sunlight through water. Kale leaned closer, eyes widening. The blood he had given her was interacting with her unique biology in ways he could not have imagined. "By the stars," he whispered. Even in his years of experience, Kale had never seen anything like it. The glow was not harmful. It seemed to pulse with life, almost as if her body was absorbing strength from the human enzyme he had provided. Minutes passed, and she moved slightly, trying to sit up. Kale quickly supported her, helping her stabilize. Her eyes, now brighter, focused on him fully. For the first time she spoke a word, a sound soft and melodic, "Kale." Her voice carried no fear, only recognition. Kale's heart skipped a beat. Not only had he saved her life, but she seemed aware, almost connected, in a way that went beyond simple survival. Kale realized in that moment that humans were capable of more than they imagined. Courage, adaptability, and compassion could bridge worlds, heal wounds thought impossible, and even create bonds between species that no one could predict. The night stretched on, with Kale keeping watch. Somewhere in the distance, the hum of Zerathia continued, a reminder that the planet was alive, watching and waiting. He had no idea what challenges tomorrow would bring, or how other factions would react to the miracle that had occurred. But one thing was certain: the human warrior had given his blood, and in doing so, had changed the course of a dying alien princess's life forever. And perhaps, unknowingly, he had begun a story that could alter the fate of the galaxy itself. Kale did not sleep that night. Instead, he sat beside her, watching the soft glow pulse through her veins, feeling the weight of responsibility and the strange, undeniable hope that only humans could inspire. For the first time in weeks, amidst ruin and war, he felt the spark of something extraordinary, a spark that promised that even in the darkest worlds, humans could bring light. Dawn on Zerathia broke slowly, casting long shadows over the ruined city. The sky, once a dark orange, now glowed with pale yellow and soft pink streaks. The ruins seemed less threatening in the morning light, though the sense of danger lingered. Commander Kale sat beside the alien princess, Liara, still watching the faint glow of her veins. Liara's breathing had stabilized overnight. Her injuries had not fully healed, but she seemed stronger. Kale observed her carefully, noting the subtle changes. The glow in her veins pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat within a heartbeat. It was as if the human blood he had given her had begun to awaken something inside her, something more than mere survival. "Kale," she whispered, her voice weak but steady, He leaned closer. "Yes, can you sit up?" With great effort, she lifted herself slightly. Kale supported her, marveling at her strength despite everything. The glow in her veins brightened as if responding to her movement. "Your blood, it is strange," she said slowly, her words halting but clear. "I feel stronger, faster, my pain less." Kale nodded, keeping his voice calm. "It's working. Your body accepted it. You're healing faster than I thought possible." Liara's eyes widened in wonder, and for a moment the fear in them was replaced by curiosity. She flexed her fingers and noticed her enhanced coordination. She lifted her arm fully for the first time since Kale had found her. The motion was fluid, almost too smooth for her weakened body. Kale's mind raced. Humans were known for their resilience and adaptability, but this was beyond anything he had anticipated. The combination of human blood and her unique biology had triggered a transformation. He helped her to a small space where she could move more freely. Liara cautiously stood, testing her legs. To Kale's amazement, she was steady. She moved as if weightless, her body responding faster than it had moments before. "Kale, I can feel things, I can see more clearly," she whispered. Her eyes glowed faintly in the morning light, reflecting a sharp intelligence. "The world, it is brighter. I can sense life, even through walls." Kale took a deep breath. "This is unbelievable. Humans can adapt, yes, but this is something new." They spent the next few hours cautiously exploring the alcove and nearby ruins. Liara's abilities became more evident. She could jump higher, run faster, and sense Kale's movements before he made them. Kale realized that her hybrid state was giving her a heightened connection to her environment, almost as if she could read the flow of energy around her. While Kale observed, he knew they could not stay in one place. The factions on Zarathia were still active. Any strange activity, like the glow in Liara's veins, could attract unwanted attention. He had to find a safer location, a hidden refuge where Liara could recover fully. As they prepared to leave, a faint sound reached Kale's ears, a distant explosion followed by the rush of movement across the city. He froze, signaling Liara to stay close. Shadows moved between the ruins, fast and deliberate. Scouting units from one of the warring factions were nearby, searching for survivors or threats. Liara instinctively moved closer to Kale. Her senses were heightened. She could detect the positions of the intruders, their weapons, and even the paths they were likely to take. "Kale, they are close," she warned. Her voice was calm, precise, and confident, a stark contrast to her weakened state yesterday. Kale smiled faintly. "Looks like your new abilities are already useful." He led her through a narrow passage between two collapsed towers, careful to avoid debris and unstable ground. Liara followed easily, moving with a grace and speed that surprised him. Every step she took showed not only recovery but an extraordinary enhancement. They reached a small chamber inside a partially intact building. Kale set up temporary defenses, using materials scavenged from the ruins. While he worked, Liara observed the environment, noting structural weaknesses, possible hiding spots, and the approach of any potential threats. Kale realized something important. Your senses, they're more than just faster reflexes. You can understand the world differently. This could be a gift, Liara, a chance to protect yourself and others in ways no one expected. Liara nodded, absorbing the meaning of his words. "Kale, I feel connected, not only to the environment but to you. Your blood, it carries something beyond life. It is strength, courage, hope." Kale's chest tightened. He had never expected his simple act of giving blood to create such a bond, not only saving her life but awakening abilities that could change the course of events on Zarathia. Hours passed and Kale trained Liara carefully. He guided her through simple exercises to control her newfound strength and abilities. Jumping, running, sensing movement, all basic for him but monumental for her. Every success brought a spark of joy to her eyes, and Kale felt a sense of pride he had rarely experienced. Yet, despite the progress, Kale remained cautious. He knew their situation was fragile. Warring factions still prowled the city, and news of a transformed alien princess could spread quickly. Others might see her as a threat, or worse, a weapon to control. "Kale, why did you help me?" Liara asked suddenly, her glowing eyes fixed on him. Kale paused, considering. "Because it was the right thing to do. Humans we fight, yes, but we also protect. We adapt. We give hope when it seems impossible. That is who we are." Liara tilted her head, trying to understand. "Hope is powerful," Kale smiled faintly. "More powerful than any weapon. It can inspire allies, stop enemies, and change the outcome of battles. You will understand this soon." The moment of calm was broken by a distant roar, a heavy metallic sound that shook the ground beneath them. Kale's eyes narrowed. The war machine. Stories had warned about it, but no human had seen it directly. The legends said it could destroy entire cities, maybe even continents if activated. Liara's eyes flickered with curiosity and caution. "Kale, that sound, it is not natural. It carries intent." Kale nodded grimly. "You're right, and it is close. We need to be careful, but I think your new abilities can help us." He explained that the glow in her veins was not just a side effect. It was a form of energy interaction. The human enzyme had triggered something in her DNA, allowing her to perceive energy patterns, life forces, and even the mechanisms of certain machines. Liara listened intently, absorbing every word. "Kale, if I connect to it, I can control it." Kale hesitated. "I don't know. But I do know that humans, we take risks. We try, even when failure seems certain. Maybe this is our chance." As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the sounds of the city grew louder. Distant shouting, explosions, and the hum of energy weapons reminded them that the world outside was not peaceful. Yet, within their small alcove, a strange harmony existed. Liara's new abilities were growing, and Kale's guidance ensured she remained in control. They practiced, training and observing, creating a rhythm of preparation. Kale could see her confidence building with each success. Her body was no longer fragile. It was strong, capable, and tuned to senses beyond human understanding. Then, a sudden movement in the ruins outside drew Kale's attention. Scouts, clearly part of the warring factions, had found signs of their presence. Kale quickly signaled Liara to remain hidden. Her enhanced perception allowed them to track the scouts' movements, predict their paths, and avoid detection. "Kale, we can move through them undetected," she whispered. Kale smiled, a mixture of relief and amazement. "Exactly. That's your gift. That's your strength. Let's use it wisely." The day passed with tension, training, and careful observation. By nightfall, Liara was not only healed but transformed. She stood beside Kale, strong and alert, her glow faint but steady. She could sense movement, energy, and intent around them. Her bond with Kale had grown, a silent connection that gave both of them strength and reassurance. Kale realized as he watched her that the events of yesterday were only the beginning. The transformation had opened doors, revealed abilities, and created possibilities that neither of them fully understood yet. The challenges ahead would be immense, but together, they were ready to face them. And somewhere in the distance, deep within the ruins, the war machine continued to hum, a reminder that the true test of their courage and ingenuity was only just beginning. Night had fallen over Zarathia, and the city ruins were bathed in a ghostly orange light from the distant. Fires and flickering explosions. Commander Kale and the alien princess, Liara, remained hidden in their small alcove. Though Liara's body had transformed and her abilities were extraordinary, Kale knew that survival depended not only on her strength but on strategy, stealth, and human ingenuity. The distant hum of machinery and the occasional crash of collapsing structures reminded them both that the city was alive with danger. The warring factions were not idle, and the news of a glowing, enhanced princess could spread quickly. Kale's mind raced, calculating possible threats and escape routes. Liara crouched beside him, her silver-blue skin glowing faintly in the darkness. "Kale, I can sense them. They are searching for something for me." Her voice was calm, yet there was a tension beneath it, the tension of someone aware that every step could bring danger. Kale nodded. "Yes, they'll come closer if they find anything. We need to move, and we need to do it quietly." He stood, scanning the ruined city through a gap in the wall. Shadows moved in patterns that indicated scouts, small groups cautiously navigating the debris. Their weapons glinted in the flickering firelight, and Kale could hear faint communications in an alien tongue. The scouts had not yet noticed the alcove, and he intended to keep it that way. Liara followed his lead, stepping lightly. Her new abilities allowed her to move silently and avoid obstacles with ease. She could sense the scouts' movements before they became visible, predicting paths and timing. Kale marveled at the precision of her senses, yet he remained vigilant. Strength alone would not be enough to survive what was coming. They moved carefully through the ruins, using shadows and debris for cover. Liara's glow was dimmed to avoid detection, but even in the dark, Kale could see the subtle pulses of energy in her veins. It was both beautiful and strange, like watching life itself glowing in motion. Suddenly, a distant explosion shook the ground beneath them. Dust fell from nearby towers, and a few unstable structures began to collapse. Kale instinctively pushed Liara to the ground, shielding her with his body. The rumble of falling debris echoed through the city, followed by shouts and rapid movement from the scouts. "They know we are here," Kale muttered, his eyes scanning for a safe route. Liara's enhanced senses confirmed his suspicion. "They are splitting, searching systematically. We can avoid them if we move now," Kale nodded. "Then let's go." They navigated through narrow alleys and crumbling corridors, moving silently and quickly. Liara's abilities made it possible to avoid detection, but Kale still relied on human ingenuity. He had taught her simple tactics: how to use shadows, how to predict enemy behavior, and how to manipulate the environment to create diversions. Together, they were a perfect combination of instinct, strategy, and skill. Hours passed as they moved toward a safer area, a section of the city less damaged and easier to defend. Kale knew that resting was essential, but they could not linger too long. The warring factions were relentless, and any sign of the glowing princess would draw attention. Finally, they reached a partially intact tower that provided both cover and height advantage. Kale set up a temporary watch station using debris and remnants of alien structures. Liara settled beside him, observing the city below. "They are coming," she whispered. "I can feel them, dozens, weapons, energy, movement." Kale studied the pattern she indicated. The factions were approaching in waves, cautiously advancing to avoid traps and ambushes. He realized that this was no ordinary scouting mission. Someone or something had already detected unusual energy signals, possibly Liara's glow, and they were preparing to strike. Kale's mind worked quickly. He needed to create a plan, and it had to be clever. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy, but their ingenuity, adaptability, and problem-solving were unmatched. He could use the environment, Liara's abilities, and simple traps to slow the enemy, giving them time to escape or fight strategically. "Liara," he said quietly, "we need to make them think we are elsewhere. Can you create a distraction?" Liara tilted her head. "I can, but it will take energy and I will be visible." Kale nodded. "Do it. I will cover you." Liara focused, her glow intensifying as she extended her senses outward. She manipulated the faint energy in the ruins, causing small lights to flicker and shadows to move unnaturally. To the approaching scouts, it looked like a larger force, moving unpredictably. Kale watched the enemy carefully. They hesitated, unsure of what they were seeing. That pause was all Kale needed. Using broken debris and simple tools, he created small collapses and diversions along the paths the scouts were advancing. Rocks tumbled, walls shifted, and the sounds of movement echoed, drawing attention away from their actual location. The scouts slowed, cautious, their formation disrupted. Liara's glow faded gradually as she focused inward, conserving energy. Kale whispered, "Good. Keep moving, we are almost safe." The city was dangerous, but humans thrived in adversity. Kale had trained for years to adapt, think quickly, and use intelligence over brute force. This was a perfect example. By combining his strategy with Liara's enhanced perception, they avoided capture and continued moving toward a more defensible location, a section of the city with tall buildings, narrow passages, and few entrances. As they reached the area, Kale paused to catch his breath. Liara, now fully aware of her powers, looked around with a mixture of awe and determination. "Kale, I can do more. I can fight if needed." Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. "Yes, but we need to be smart. Strength without strategy is wasted. Humans survive because we think, we adapt, and we work together. That is your greatest advantage." Liara nodded, understanding. She could feel the truth in his words. Her transformation had given her extraordinary abilities, but Kale's guidance was what allowed her to use them wisely. Together, they were stronger than any single soldier or scout. Suddenly, a louder sound echoed across the ruins, a mechanical roar, deep and powerful. Kale froze. "The war machine," he muttered. "It's moving closer." Liara's eyes widened. It is aware. It senses energy, my energy. Kale, it is coming toward us." Kale knew they had no time to waste. The war machine, a relic of an ancient conflict, was capable of immense destruction. If it reached them, even Liara's abilities might not be enough. He had to use his human ingenuity to create a plan fast. "Listen," he said, "we cannot fight it directly. Too powerful, but we can lead it into a trap, into a place where it cannot move freely." Liara focused, sensing the environment. "There, a narrow canyon, it will restrict its movement, but we must get there without being detected by the scouts." Kale smiled faintly. "Then let's move. Humans are known for taking risks and succeeding against the odds." They began their journey toward the canyon, moving silently through shadows and avoiding patrols. Liara's enhanced senses guided them around danger, while Kale's tactical mind ensured they remained unseen. Every step was calculated, every movement precise. Along the way, Kale noticed something remarkable. The scouts, though technologically advanced, were predictable. Humans thrived in unpredictability. By using diversion, misdirection, and Liara's abilities, they stayed one step ahead. Kale realized that humans' greatest strength was not in raw power, but in creativity, courage, and teamwork. After hours of careful movement, they reached the edge of the canyon. The towering walls of rock and debris created a natural corridor, perfect for restricting the war machine's movement. Kale surveyed the area, noting points where they could set traps using debris, energy fields, and Liara's abilities. Liara's glow brightened as she prepared to manipulate energy around the canyon. "Kale, if I focus, I can slow it, but I will need your guidance." Kale nodded. "Good, we do this together. Humans survive because we adapt, we think, and we act. That is why we are dangerous, even to machines." As the first sounds of the war machine echoed through the canyon, Kale and Liara positioned themselves. They were ready. Together, human ingenuity and alien transformation would face the greatest threat Zarathia had ever known. And for the first time, Kale realized something powerful. Humans were not just survivors, they were catalysts. Their courage, intelligence, and adaptability could inspire, protect, and change the course of events across worlds. The battle for Zarathia was about to begin. The canyon loomed ahead like a silent guardian. Its tall walls of jagged rock towered over the ruins of Zarathia, creating a narrow corridor that could control the movement of even the largest machines. Commander Kale and Liara crouched behind a large boulder near the canyon's entrance, surveying the path ahead. The war machine's metallic roar grew louder with every passing second, vibrating through the ground beneath them. Kale tightened his grip on a makeshift spear he had fashioned from broken metal and debris. "It's coming," he whispered. "Remember, we don't fight it directly. We need to lead it into the canyon and use the terrain to our advantage." Liara's eyes glowed faintly as she focused her senses on the approaching machine. She could feel its energy, its intent, its almost animal-like awareness. "Kale, it is aware. It senses me, my energy. It is searching for me specifically," she said. Her voice was calm, but Kale could sense the underlying tension. "Good," Kale said quietly. "That means we have its attention. Follow my lead. We can control where it goes." Liara nodded and concentrated, extending her senses outward. The glow in her veins brightened slightly, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Kale could feel the energy radiating from her, a mixture of human blood and alien power. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced, and he realized that her transformation had unlocked something extraordinary, something beyond mere strength. The first rumble of the war machine echoed through the canyon. Dust and debris fell from the rock walls as it advanced. Kale and Liara moved quickly, using shadows and fallen rocks as cover. The machine's massive legs crushed debris effortlessly, but the narrow canyon limited its speed. Kale's mind raced, calculating every step, every movement, every possibility. Humans survived by thinking ahead, and he intended to prove it. "We need to get closer," Kale whispered. "We can't just stay hidden forever. If we can connect you to it, maybe we can control it." Liara's eyes widened. "Control it? Kale, you mean interface with it?" Kale nodded. "Yes, your hybrid energy, your blood, it interacts with machines. I think you can influence it, but we have to be careful. One wrong move and it could destroy us." Liara took a deep breath and nodded. "I trust you, Kale. Guide me." They moved deeper into the canyon, the walls narrowing further. Kale directed her to stand on a flat section of rock while he positioned himself nearby for support. The war machine's hum grew louder, resonating through the canyon like the heartbeat of a giant. Liara focused, extending her consciousness outward, feeling the energy of the machine as if it were an extension of herself. "Kale, I can feel it. It is responding to me," she whispered, her voice trembling with awe. "I can sense its circuits, its movements, even its purpose, but it is complex, very complex." Kale watched her closely. "Good, use your energy, merge with it slowly, don't rush." Liara closed her eyes and reached out mentally, letting the energy flow between her and the machine. A faint golden light began to pulse from her veins, spreading outward. Kale could see the war machine hesitate, its movements slowing slightly as if it were confused by the unexpected connection. "You're doing it, Liara," Kale encouraged. "Keep focus. Humans survive by adapting, by using intelligence. This is our chance to change everything." Minutes passed, and the war machine's massive frame shifted. Its movements became less chaotic, more deliberate, as if it were listening to Liara's guidance. Kale's heart pounded with anticipation. Humans had survived countless challenges, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. Suddenly, a surge of energy shot through Liara. Her glow intensified, filling the canyon with light. Kale shielded his eyes briefly, then looked again. The war machine had stopped moving entirely, its sensors focused on Liara. She opened her eyes, her pupils shimmering with golden light. I can control it," she whispered, astonished. "Kale, I can direct it safely. We can use it to protect Zarathia, not destroy it." Kale smiled, a mixture of relief and pride. "That's exactly what humans do. We take risks, adapt, and turn impossible situations into victories. Now, let's show them." Liara extended her hands toward the war machine. Slowly, carefully, she guided its movements. The massive legs shifted, avoiding debris as if following her commands. Kale watched in amazement. The war machine, once a weapon of destruction, now moved with precision and purpose under Liara's control. "It's incredible," Kale muttered. "Humans and our allies, we can change the odds in ways no one expects." The sound of approaching patrols reminded them that time was short. Kale and Liara had to act quickly to ensure the factions could not interfere. Liara focused her energy, directing the war machine toward strategic points in the canyon. With each movement, the machine created barriers, blocked patrol routes, and even protected themselves from potential attacks. Kale could see the expressions of awe and fear on the scouts' faces as they realized they were facing not just a war machine, but an intelligent force controlled by an alien princess empowered by human blood. The combination was unprecedented. This is unbelievable," Kale whispered. "Human courage, human ingenuity, it's changing everything." Liara nodded, her focus unwavering. "Kale, I can do more. I can reach deeper, control more, but I will need your guidance." Kale placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I've got you. Humans survive because we act together, think together, and protect those who matter. We'll do this together." Liara's glow intensified, and the war machine responded with smooth, controlled movements. Kale realized that the combination of human guidance and Liara's hybrid abilities had unlocked a new potential, one that could protect not only themselves but the entire city. They moved strategically, using the war machine to block enemy patrols, create safe paths, and redirect dangerous forces away from vulnerable areas. The scouts were forced to retreat or find new paths, giving Kale and Liara a clear advantage. Hours passed as they continued to maneuver. Liara's energy was strong, but she was beginning to tire. Kale guided her, ensuring she conserved enough strength to maintain control. "Almost there, stay with me," he whispered. "Humans never give up. We push forward, even when it seems impossible." Finally, they reached the center of the canyon. The war machine now stood still, fully under Liara's control. Its presence was no longer threatening but protective. Kale and Liara had transformed a weapon of destruction into a shield for Zarathia. Liara exhaled, a mixture of exhaustion and relief. "Kale, we did it. We controlled it safely." Kale smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Yes, and humans did it too. We survived, adapted, and turned the impossible into reality. That's what makes us powerful." For the first time in days, the two allowed themselves a moment of rest. The war machine stood as a silent guardian in the canyon, ready to respond to Liara's guidance. The city, though still in ruins, had a chance to survive the chaos that had consumed it for decades. Kale looked at Liara, her glow fading to a calm pulse. "You've grown stronger than I could have imagined. But remember, humans survive not just by strength but by courage, intelligence, and compassion. That is what will guide us in the battles ahead." Liara nodded, her eyes reflecting the light of the war machine. "I understand, Kale. With your guidance and my strength, we can protect Zarathia and perhaps even bring peace." Kale allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had once again proven its worth, not through domination or brute force, but through courage, ingenuity, and the ability to inspire others. Liara's transformation, powered by human blood and guided by human wisdom, had created a force unlike anything the galaxy had seen. As the night deepened, the city below lay quiet, the war machine standing tall as a guardian. Kale and Liara knew the challenges were not over, factions still roamed, and the war that had scarred Zarathia for decades was far from finished. But for the first time, they had a chance. A chance not only to survive but to change the course of events, to turn destruction into hope. And in that moment, Kale understood something profound. Humans were not just survivors. They were catalysts for change, capable of inspiring courage, creating strength where none existed, and transforming impossible situations into victories. Together, human and alien, warrior and princess, they had unlocked something unbelievable. And the story of their courage, ingenuity, and determination was only beginning. The first light of dawn crept over Zarathia, painting the ruined city in soft shades of gold and pink. The air was quiet, almost peaceful, a sharp contrast to the chaos of the previous days. Commander Kale and Liara, the alien princess, stood at the edge of the canyon, looking down at the city that had become both a battlefield and a proving ground for humanity's courage and ingenuity. The war machine, now fully under Liara's control, stood as a silent guardian at the canyon's entrance. Its massive frame reflected the rising sun, no longer a weapon of destruction but a protector of the people below. The city's factions were scattered, their patrols hesitant, unsure of the machine's allegiance. Kale had seen fear in many eyes, but now he saw something else: respect, awe, and a cautious hope. Liara turned to Kale, her silver-blue skin glowing softly in the morning light. "Kale, it worked. We controlled it, we saved many lives." Kale smiled, though he knew the work was not yet complete. "Yes, Liara, but controlling the machine is only part of it. We have to make sure peace lasts. Humans survive not just by fighting, but by thinking, adapting, and inspiring others. That is how we create change." Liara nodded, understanding the weight of his words. She had been strong, yes, but without Kale's guidance, her abilities might have been uncontrolled, dangerous, or wasted. Human courage and intelligence had not only saved her, but had turned her newfound powers into a force for protection. As the morning progressed, Kale and Liara moved through the city, using the war machine as both shield and guide. The scattered factions watched from a distance, unsure of what to do. Kale raised a hand and called out in the alien language, carefully chosen words that meant peace and safety. His voice, calm and confident, carried through the streets. "Stop," he commanded. "There is no need for further fighting. The war machine no longer serves destruction. It serves protection. Liara the princess is alive and she seeks peace." There was silence, broken only by the soft hum of the war machine. Slowly, soldiers emerged from their hiding places, cautious but curious. They had heard legends of humans, brave, adaptable, and unexpectedly powerful. Now they saw it firsthand: a human warrior guiding an alien princess, controlling a machine that had once terrorized them. One of the faction leaders, a tall alien with dark armor, stepped forward. His eyes were filled with caution, but he lowered his weapon slightly. "This is impossible," he said. "How did this happen?" Kale met his gaze steadily. "Humans survive by courage, intelligence, and action. We do not wait for luck, we adapt. We fight when needed, but we protect when possible. Liara is alive because I chose to act, and now together we can build something better than war." Liara stepped forward, her glow steady, her confidence undeniable. "The city has suffered for too long. We can continue fighting, or we can choose a new path. I have seen the courage of humans, their will to protect, and it has taught me that even the impossible can be changed." The faction leader looked at the war machine, then at Liara, then at Kale. Slowly, he nodded. "If this is true, if humans and princesses can work together, then perhaps there is hope." Word spread quickly. Other faction leaders appeared, each cautious but intrigued. They saw what Kale and Liara had accomplished, not through brute force alone, but through courage, ingenuity, and teamwork. Humans were not the strongest species, but they were catalysts for change, capable of inspiring even the fiercest enemies to reconsider. Kale addressed the gathered leaders. "Zarathia has suffered for too long. Its people, its cities, its future, all are at risk if we continue fighting. But there is another way. Liara and I have proven that humans can change what seems impossible. Together we can protect this world, rebuild it, and create a future worth living." The leaders murmured among themselves, uncertainty still present but hope beginning to grow. Kale continued, his voice firm but calm. "Humans survive because we act with courage, think with clarity, and inspire with example. We are not gods, but we are catalysts. We have the ability to turn destruction into protection, fear into courage, and chaos into order. Follow us, and we can make this world safe." Liara extended her hands, connecting her energy with the war machine. The light pulsed through the canyon, visible even to those at a distance. It was a demonstration of power, yes, but more importantly, it was a symbol of unity. Humans and aliens, warrior and princess, had combined courage and ingenuity to protect lives rather than destroy them. The factions hesitated, then slowly lowered their weapons. One by one, soldiers approached, guided by curiosity and the desire to survive. Kale stepped forward, meeting each gaze with honesty and determination. "This is your choice," he said. "Choose peace. Choose to protect. Humans have proven that even when hope seems lost, action can change the future." Hours passed and the city began to transform. The war machine moved strategically through the streets, clearing rubble and stabilizing buildings. Liara guided it with precision, while Kale directed efforts to organize survivors and help civilians. What had once been a battlefield became a controlled space where lives could be protected, and the first steps toward rebuilding could begin. The alien princess, once dying and weak, now moved confidently through the streets, her glow a beacon of hope. Citizens watched in awe, whispering stories of the human warrior who had given his blood to save a life and the courage that had followed. Kale walked beside her, a symbol of humanity's ingenuity and determination. By evening, the factions had agreed to a temporary ceasefire, guided by Kale's words and Liara's demonstration of power. The war machine stood at the canyon's entrance, a guardian rather than a weapon, a clear symbol of what humans could inspire when courage and intelligence were combined. Kale and Liara paused at the canyon's edge, looking down at the city below. "We did it," Liara whispered. "We saved them," Kale smiled faintly. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. Humans survive not because we are the strongest, but because we act, we think, and we inspire. That is our gift." Liara's eyes glowed softly, reflecting the light of the city below. "You've taught me something incredible, Kale. Humans are not just survivors, they are catalysts, capable of changing the impossible into reality." Kale nodded. "And now it's your turn to lead. You have strength, vision, and courage. Use it to protect Zarathia, to build peace. Humans will always stand with those who act with honor and courage." The night fell gently over the city. For the first time in decades, Zarathia felt safe. The factions, once enemies, now worked cautiously together, inspired by the example set by a human warrior and an alien princess. The war machine, a symbol of fear now turned protector, stood silently at the canyon's entrance. Kale and Liara watched the city below, knowing that their actions had changed the course of history. Humans had proven once again that courage, intelligence, and selflessness could overcome even the greatest challenges. Liara had survived, transformed, and grown stronger, but it was humanity's guidance that had made all the difference. As they looked toward the horizon, Kale spoke quietly. "Remember this, Liara. Humans survive not just because of strength, but because of courage, intelligence, and hope. That is what makes us powerful in ways others cannot imagine." Liara nodded, her eyes shining with understanding. "I will remember, and I will protect Zarathia as you have taught me." In the days that followed, Zarathia began to heal. Buildings were stabilized, citizens returned to their homes, and factions worked together to restore peace. Stories of the human warrior who had given his blood to save a dying princess spread across the planet, inspiring hope and admiration. Humans were not only survivors, they were catalysts for change, capable of turning even the darkest moments into opportunity. Kale and Liara stood together on a hill overlooking the city, the war machine at rest nearby. The sky above Zarathia glowed with the soft light of a new dawn, a symbol of hope, resilience, and the incredible power of courage and ingenuity. "Humans are amazing," Liara whispered. I have seen it firsthand, the courage, the intelligence, the willingness to act when it matters most. Kale smiled. Yes, and now you carry that lesson forward. Zarathia has a chance because humans acted, because we believed, and because we never gave up. For the first time in a long while, the city felt alive. Life returned slowly, hope was restored, and the bond between human and alien proved that courage and compassion could cross worlds, change destinies, and inspire generations. And so humanity triumphed, not through sheer strength, but through courage, intelligence, and selfless action. The story of Commander Kale and Princess Liara would be remembered for generations, a reminder that even the impossible could be changed by those brave enough to act.